Today I'm going to talk about the following spreadsheet, which can be used to calculate your final grade in your class, and going to explain basic Excel knowledge as well. The video begins with me briefly showing the Excel spreadsheet and explaining it in more detail. Then I explain how to set up the formula view in Excel, which is a great help for creating this Excel spreadsheet. I then show you how to quickly and easily insert graphs and charts into an Excel spreadsheet using an example, and how to format numbers and dates correctly in Excel. I continue by explaining the average function in more detail and how to use the fill handle with the average function. Finally, I explain the formulas used and the sum and if function. In the Excel spreadsheet, you can see the submissions in the example course and the weighting for the overall grade. You can enter the grades of the different submissions so that the average of these grades is calculated. The weighted average is then calculated and added so that the score on the course is calculated and the corresponding letter grade is displayed. The finished Excel spreadsheet then looks like this. Now I will show you how to set up the formula view in Excel. This is particularly helpful if you are creating an Excel spreadsheet like we are. It changes the view so that the functions and formulas are displayed in the individual cells instead of just the results. It also changes the display of numbers and data so that they are displayed in the way Excel handles them in the calculations. The formula view is activated by going to the Formulas tab at the top of the menu and activating the Show Formulas button. The view then changes to this. Now I will show you how to quickly and easily insert a chart in Excel. To do this, you first need to select the part of the Excel table that you want to include in the chart. In our case, the names of the tasks and their weighting for the overall grade. Then click on the Insert tab in the menu on Diagrams and select the desired diagram. You can now change the title of the diagram as required. If you want to edit or create a more advanced diagram, you can right-click on the diagram and then click on Select Data and customize the diagram. Formatting numbers and data in Excel is very easy, no matter whether you want to adjust an entire row, column, or just a single cell. Simply select the desired range and then choose the desired number format from the menu. You can choose between different formats for displaying dates, fractions, percentages, and many other things. This is helpful if you work a lot with formulas and functions in your Excel spreadsheet. You may remember the example with the percentage and the formula view. Now I will explain the average function, which is one of the most important functions in our example spreadsheet. The average function divides the sum of the selected cells by the number of cells containing numbers. The result of the function is the average value of the selected cells. Text in the selected cells is ignored. If you try to calculate the average with the function and cells don't contain values, you get the error #div/0. In our example, we calculate the average of the different submissions for a task. Now I will explain the function and use of the fill handle in Excel. The fill handle can make our work in our spreadsheet easier because we don't have to enter the average function by hand in every cell. When you have a formula function in a cell, you can drag the contents up, down, left, and right, and Excel will automatically fill in the selected cells, adjusting the cell references in the formula to the relative position, except for positions in the formula that use absolute variables or mixed cell reference. In our example, we have used formulas to calculate the weighted average. These multiply the results of the average function by the weighting of the task from the course. In this case, we did not use a function, as a formula was easier and quicker to implement. Formulas in Excel always start with an equal sign and can consist of plus, minus, multiplication, division, or even the square. These signs behave in the same way in Excel as they do in everyday mathematics. At the end of the video, I will discuss the sum and the nested if function used in this Excel spreadsheet. To begin with, I will briefly explain the sum function. The sum function performs a simple addition. Depending on a semicolon or colon, only single cells or larger ranges of cells are included for the function. If there's text or no values in the selected cells, they will not be considered by the function. In our case, the sum function calculates the total score and the corresponding cause from all weighted averages. Now we come to the nested if function. First, however, I will briefly explain the if function. If function is a logical function based on a condition. This condition can either be true or false, and based on this, the function returns a result. Now coming to the nested if functions. These are used when there are more than two outcomes. Then an if function is written into an if function at the position if the condition is false. For our example, with letter grades from A to D and F, we need a nested if function with 4 if functions, when keeping the rule of thumb for nested if functions in mind. Take the possible outcomes, -1, and you get the number of the if functions you need.